it's always cooler to like be a nihilist and not have any hope and not want anything. And that's always cool, as in like James Dean style cool, like smoking your cigarette. I don't even care. I'm gonna die. Whatever.
It's pretty cool.
Like a lot of artists have been nihilists, and I can see the sort of seduction of that. Because if you hope for something, and if you want things to be different, and you want things to be better, you are making yourself vulnerable to disappointment. And so I understand why, like, there's a real urge to just say, fuck it, burn it all down, like, nothing better is coming along. But I also think that if we all give in to that, then it's 100% going to be true. That will be how the world ends.
Oh boy.
So I'm always trying to like find within my heart, because both things exist inside of me. Like I have hope, but I also have nihilism. They're both in here. So I try in my work to like really just emphasize the part of me that believes there could be a better world, and that is willing to work for it and fight for it even if it doesn't happen. And so I'm trying to coolify that, I guess. Believing in something. Because there's always the call of the void. There's always the call of just like smoke your cigarettes and lay around and give up. And I think that we can do better than that.
So, Carsie Blanton, thank you so much for coming in and talking with us.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to meet you.
Yeah, pleasure to meet you. So, singer-songwriter, protest musician, and member of the global Sumud Flotilla that attempted to break the siege or the blockade of Gaza this past, I guess you set sail on August 31st and kind of went for the first week there. Or how many days exactly was it?
Yeah, it was sort of protracted. So we were actually at port. I was at port in Sicily for 2 weeks, and then we sailed around the 15th of September.
Yeah, okay.
And then we were intercepted by Israel on October 1st.
Yeah.
So it was like about 2 weeks, a little more than 2 weeks at sea.
At sea. All right. And so it's been a few months now. So it's, you know, it's a little bit in the rear view, I guess. And I kind of wanted to start out there. It's like, I know that you've spoken a lot sort of about what things were like day to day on the flotilla, but like after seeing the effect and seeing, you know, the ceasefire deal, how are you feeling now? Like, what are you thinking, feeling?
Yeah. It's been, I feel like I'm integrating the experience pretty slowly. So I feel different than I did when I first got home, but I also still feel pretty like I've got a lot of new life experience that I haven't quite woven into my understanding of the world yet. I have done one therapy session. That was good.
Just one?
Just one so far, just the other day.
Okay.
Took me a while to like gather the nerve to go to therapy about it. I was kind of hoping it was just going to roll off me like water off a duck, but it didn't. I feel pretty shook by it, and I feel like I'm a person who has a lot of rage about empire and capitalism, and now it is much worse.
Wow, yeah, that's I know you have an affinity for hate songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is wonderful. And I think you know, that's something that we're kind of in like a US bubble, you know. And it's like I that rage, that's something that dialed you up and brought you to that point. I wonder if, you know, was seeing sort of this the international participation, the international solidarity, the point of view, you know, did that ratchet it for you faster? Like, was part of it seeing the rest of the world and hearing what they thought and their interpretation of what was happening in Gaza?
Yeah.
Or was it, you know, sort of your treatment then when you were intercepted, or was it just sort of all of the above?
Yeah. I think part of it was having like a truly international experience where I was in the minority as an American, and we were confronting Israel and learning what everybody else's perspectives were from all of their different countries, and even finding that I had a perspective that was sort of poisoned by living in America as compared to these other people who live in other countries. Every time I find that out, I'm shocked again. Because I feel like I'm doing all this work to like try and deprogram myself, but I'm still so American. Like, I'm from here, you know. Yeah,
and so like it's their entire propaganda project.
Yeah.
You know, thwarts any sort of effort to ameliorate the situation.
Yeah.
To, you know, it jeopardized the entire mission.
Yeah.
That being said, you know, it's like you simply cannot respond on that. So I mean, like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's that must be pretty disorientating. I mean, does it when that would happen on the boat? Would you be kind of like, what else? What else?
How big of an idiot am I?
Oh, no. No, but
kind of, yes, though. Yeah.
It's like the American way, though. It's like,
Yeah.
that we kind of exist, and I think we're all wondering that is algorithmically, like, what is our echo chamber that we're in, and like how much of that is very sophisticated propaganda that's sort of creating these types of situations and these ignorances. And you talked about like just like the point of view of different people on that boat was just like a guiding force, I guess, for you.
Yeah.
Like, do you feel like that was is now that you're sitting with it a few months afterward, like getting back to sort of like how you're feeling?
Yeah.
Has that been a part of it, like realizing like there's a lot more learning to do,
Yeah.
or is it just really the emotional toll of all of that work?
It's realizing there's more learning to do. It's also like, I feel like growing up in the US and swallowing all of the American propaganda, it's very hard to confront the magnitude of the violence that the US empire is doing across the world. And this experience was the closest I've gotten to like looking it in the face. So being in prison in Israel and meeting IOF soldiers and meeting prison guards and talking to them about what they think about America was like I was talking to a prison guard at Ketziat and saying, I'm an American Jew. Do you want to talk? And he's like, whoa, that's crazy. So we had a whole conversation. And then it felt very much like he was fascinated by me because his view of American Jews as an Israeli is they're on our side. They're all with us. They also want to like flatten Gaza because it's all terrorists. And I felt like talking to him, I'm like looking into the eyes of like Sauron, you know what I mean? Where I'm like, it's this controlling violence that is encompassing half the world. And like, I'm living here in the heart of this empire. And what I've been told for my whole life is, no, we're the good guys. We're bringing democracy and freedom everywhere. And like, oh yeah, we have sanctions on 3 billion people, but that's because they're the bad guys, and it's us who's the good guys. And then every time I get a little bit closer to like looking that violence in the face, I feel freshly full of rage. So that's the main thing I've been grappling with since I got home from prison is like, okay, it's worse than I thought again.
And overflow. Now you're overflowing with rage where you thought before you had plenty, but
there's still more. Where's the bottom?
It's bottomless.
Apparently.
Let's talk about Little Flame and that song and sort of like what it means to you. And like it's such a beautiful song. I listened to it a bunch of times this morning, and it did make me tear up a little bit. And I was like, am I losing it, or am I like? It's like the specter of patriarchy came behind me and was like, swallow that down right now. Yeah, they're like, were you a little girl or something? I was like, okay, lock in. No, but it's such an emotional, beautiful song.
Thank you.
And like that idea of hope and sort of, and like the way the tone you strike in that song too is like talking about, kind of, I guess violence really, like talking about the people at home, people who need to take up arms and sort of like carry on this legacy of this ember, right? And so like, what does that song mean to you? I guess thinking about your experience on the boat and and now a few months later.
Well, one thing that was really heartening about the flotilla experience was it reconnected me to my larger purpose as an artist and as a musician, because again, like living in this time and this place, it can often feel like being a musician is like a gig, and you're trying to like get famous and like get followers and get gigs and make money and have it be your job, and that's what success is. And I now think like that's a total distraction from what it actually means to like have the gift of music, be given the gift of music, which is, okay, I have this gift. I can sing and I can make songs and I can learn songs. And songs are like this beautiful technology for helping people get through hard things. And they're like much older than capitalism. Like it's an ancient human technology. And so we sang a lot on the boat and we sang a lot in prison. And it just reconnected me to that thing where it's like when you're going through something very difficult with other people, singing is one of the things that you reach for. And it's like whether you're a singer or not, everybody reaches for songs because it helps us feel that we're having a collective experience. And so that song, in a way, is illustrating that idea. Like, it's about solidarity across time and space. So, like, we're in solidarity not just with the people alive today, but with the people who came before us, because we're all working toward the same thing. Not all of us, but many of us. So, like, it's like the people, the people that idea of the people that spans through history. So that song allows us to feel like we're connecting to this, like, thread that goes through history. And I think even like when I sing that song, but also when I sing any song, like especially a protest song, I feel like, okay, I'm getting connected to this thread that goes through a long part of history, and it sort of allows me to not feel like I'm just this little guy suffering out here on my own. So yeah, that element of the Flotilla experience was really rich for me. It was like, oh guys, I have a song for this. Like, we have a song, and then it would help everybody feel better. It was like, it works every time.
Touching you, free Palestine. Oh, oh, oh. Genocide was never good. No good, no good, no good.
You kind of pointed out in your response there, like capitalism and what capitalism does to music, and how it sort of it works to create a commodity for its own profit, its own gain. And like I talk to artists in all kinds of sectors all the time, like people of different, disciplines, like what trying to make a living being creative is like, and like what it's like, trying to manifest your consciousness in this work of art, and then having to, make it profitable or sell it, and the way capitalism kind of leeches that out of you and beats you down, and it doesn't want you to, really succeed at selling that unless it benefits a label or whoever it may be. And this is true in architecture, this is true in storytelling, filmmaking, whatever, music, of course. And so I wonder, as a protest musician and songwriter, focusing on this subject matter that Empire certainly wants to cut, certainly doesn't want that in the mainstream, certainly doesn't want commercial success. How do you, pursue that subject matter as a musician and an artist for 2 decades and keep going while capitalism's trying to destroy you?
Yeah. Well, luckily the music industry was already collapsing when I got into it 20 years ago.
Sick. So you're like, oh.
So it's like the bribes are not that good anymore.
Yeah.
They already weren't. It's like I tried to get a record deal for the first 5 or 10 years, and then by the end of that, there weren't any labels left, really. Like, there's labels left, but they don't have any more money than I do.
Yep.
So it's sort of like the bribes got much worse, and that made it easier for me to really embrace my interest in writing protest music, because I wasn't always writing political music. The first half of my career, I was writing love songs and just trying to make it as a pop person, and it just didn't work. It wasn't hitting, partly because the music industry was already falling apart. Which now I consider a blessing, because it allowed me to find my other calling, which is political work and organizing, and then to integrate them into one thing. So it hasn't really been a struggle for me to become a more politicized artist, because I didn't have that much going for my career already. I think it'd be much harder if I had been Taylor Swift or something. People like that don't have access to the education that I had that radicalized me. You know what I mean? In a way, it's tragic. Oh, poor Taylor.
Yeah, can you imagine woke Taylor?
Yeah. But I honestly do feel that it's a blessing that I didn't have more success before I was radicalized, because now it feels so much more okay, I found my real calling, which was not to be Taylor Swift. It was to be, Malvina Reynolds, somebody that most people haven't heard of, but who's really doing the hard work of trying to grow the left movement with her art.
Yeah, and and I guess what's left now is doing what do labels offer, TikToks?
Exactly.
You got a TikTok hit, and all right.
Even that, they wait for you to get the TikTok hit, and then they scout you. Hey, we heard you had 10 million TikTok, whatever. It's the labels are not pushing art at all anymore.
They're not offering.
They're on the tail. Yeah, they're chasing the artists.
Staying in it is really hard.
Yeah.
I think staying in it and surviving can be really hard.
Totally.
Was that hard for you?
Yeah, I mean, so I had the good fortune of falling in love and marrying somebody with a real job and a good head for money like almost 20 years ago, actually. And I say that because I don't want to nurse the like fantasy that it's like, oh, if you just keep following your dreams, you'll make it. Like, no, I made it because I had someone with an income in my household. So I just like to be real about that. Like, I'm making money now, but that's as of like 2 years ago. So that was 18 years of basically going further and further into debt. And I had the privilege of doing that because I was married to somebody who could like pay our rent.
Oh, wow.
So again, I just say that because I don't want to like be like, and now I've made it, and where's my Grammy? And like, wow, I just stuck with it, folks. You can too. Like, no, you probably can't unless like you have some other access to credit, you know?
Yeah. You know, the self-made myth.
Yeah.
You didn't want to come today and be like,
No,
nah,
I just stuck with it, and I kept following my dream and following my bliss.
Uh-huh.
No, like, you know, you can either be really broke for a really long time and just like live with a lot of roommates and just not mind that you're never going to make any money, or you can like find a way to like hitch your wagon to somebody that has little money, or you can have a trust fund. Those are the options for the music business right now. And I would add to that, like, that's true for like people who want to be a chef, people who want to like childcare, you know what I mean? Like most of the important human work being done right now, you cannot survive on the income that you get from it. So music is like one of many industries where like you need to have some other source of money in order to dedicate your life to it.
It's interesting that you're coming up, you know, like you said, just 2 years ago. That's really interesting to me.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and then you have this experience, and so more rage than ever. You know, it sounds like there's going to be like, does that mean more music? Does that mean touring more? Like, what, you know, how your experience on the Flotilla, like, how do you want to manifest that rage?
Yeah. I have made almost 2 full albums since I got back. And not out of like, this would be a good time business-wise to make an album, but like this is actually how I process my feelings. That's also connected me to like what music is for. Like I got back, I had this really intense experience. I have all this new rage and a lot of probably trauma, to be real. Like the time in prison was pretty traumatic, and being drone striked, like I'm definitely having flashbacks about that, which a lot of the people who were on the Flotilla have said similar stuff. And like I said, I just went to my first therapy session about it the other day. So for the previous 3 months, I was like, I didn't feel like I had the presence of mind to like talk about it, but I was writing a lot of songs, and I wanted to be with my band and like my songwriter friends and just like sit around and drink and make jokes and write songs. Like that's literally how I process my feelings.
That's why. So you were like, all right, album 1, album 2, 1 therapy.
Yeah,
in that
exactly.
order.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The first thing I did when I got back, like the week I got home, I booked. We had a tour that was canceled because I was in prison. So my band was supposed to be on tour for like all of October. And so when I got home, I knew that my band was like not doing anything. So I like called the guys in my band and was like, will you just come up here? So I booked us like a little Airbnb so we could just like go while out and work on music and just like goof off.
Wow.
Which is just to say, again, it's like, yes, this is my job, but also it's very much like the way my brain works is that I process things through music and songwriting and hanging out with other musicians and just like playing. So that also sort of reconnected me to that aspect of music. I'm like, okay, I chose the right job.
Freedom rides to keep a little flame alive. 100 years, 100 more. We throw our weight against the door. And even if we don't survive, we keep that little flame alive.
The Israeli government called it the selfie flotilla.
Yeah.
And I've listened to what you've said about that and pointing out that that's kind of the purpose, is engineering these images and controlling the narrative, and this is the best we can do right now. It feels like to have like a material effect on like what's happening in Gaza, to do something. And as you look back on what the flotilla meant, the media that came out of it, how it sort of took the story, do you feel like it succeeded in sort of what it needed to?
I mean, I think it was it was more successful than I expected it to be, but also that was my first flotilla. I mean, I don't know. I think it was more successful than a lot of people expected. I think the strategy of getting that many different countries onto boats was a pretty smart media strategy. So, yeah, the criticism that it's a selfie boat, I think I haven't heard a lot of people answer to that in what I think is the truth, which is it is a demonstration. And part of what a demonstration does is it's making propaganda. So, like, to say we're not making propaganda or it's not for publicity, I think doesn't acknowledge the role of propaganda in war and conflict, which is huge. I mean, the US and Israel are spending untold amounts of money making propaganda to try and justify what they're doing in Gaza. And we got, 500 people together on some sailboats and tried to like essentially make some really cheap propaganda. And because it was so beautiful and so crazy, like we're just gonna sail into a war zone with some baby formula and see if we make it. Like that's a brilliant piece of like political theater, really. And I don't say that disparagingly. I think political theater is like underrated as a tactic. Like the right and the empire is constantly making really expensive political theater. That's like half of what we believe is made by political theater. And so I think for the left to get more serious about making good propaganda and good theater to try and illustrate some of the contradictions that we're floating in is great. I mean, I'm always up for that. So, and that's a lot of what I try to do with my work. And so when I got the invitation to do the flotilla, I was immediately like, oh yeah, we're going to go do a demonstration at sea. And so part of what you do with a demonstration is you're trying to make some counter propaganda. And I think it was really successful at that, actually, partly because it was trending on social media in so many different countries at the same time. It's, in a way, it's like an unusual form of demonstration to get a lot of countries to demonstrate together offshore. Instead of having like, okay, we're going to do no kings and you get 7 million Americans in the streets and maybe you get like a couple of protests in like London or wherever that are in solidarity with the US protests. That didn't belong to any country. That was an international protest, really. Absolutely,
yeah. And it shows like a consensus.
Yeah.
It shows the tide, the tide and the belief is turning, and that, that propaganda on the other side is not working.
Yeah.
It demonstrates that. And you mentioned, I mean, that was an interesting story that you mentioned before we started rolling about, the Italian general strike, right?
Yeah.
The dock workers.
Yeah.
Do you kind of want to explain how that manifested and sort of who was involved with the flotilla that led to that?
Yeah, the story I heard, and I'm not sure I have the information to like definitely corroborate this, but the story I heard is that the original dock worker in Genoa who gave a speech saying, if you touch the flotilla, then we're going to shut down all of Europe. This was some dock worker like early on while we were sailing, who said they were part of the Dock Workers Union of Italy, and they said, we're going to shut down all the ports of Europe if you touch the flotilla, if you harm the flotilla. What I heard is that guy was the father of someone who was on the flotilla, which I also thought kind of illustrated part of the tactic. Like, part of the tactic of the flotilla was to get enough people on boats that a lot of people all around the world would feel personally invested. And I know that worked for, like, some of my conservative neighbors were like, oh, like, you did something really scary for Gaza? That's different. So,
I like you.
Yeah, it's sort of made the stakes higher, and it made it feel more personal to like a wider net of people. And I do think the Italian general strike, like they shut down Italy for more than a week, where like nobody could go anywhere. There were no teachers teaching. There were no trains running. It was like nothing. And that I do believe started with the father of someone who was on the flotilla. So, like, I think, if I were to engineer some future flotillas, it would be, like, even more people, even more countries, and try to make sure you have lots of kids of union workers on there.
Yeah, if we learned anything.
Yeah.
It's just, that's how we get the density.
And maybe some children of, like, American senators, because the U.S. Congress was very quiet.
Yeah, this might be a good time. I wanted to read some lyrics. Do you mind, care if I read some of your
Sure.
lyrics real quick?
Okay,
That's a
wow.
good transition
That
point.
made me blush.
So, the Democrats won't save you if you're drowning. They won't help you if you are in pain. They'll ask you for your vote. They'll tell you they are broke and send a lot of money to Ukraine and also Israel. And so I just wanted to ask, what's that song about?
Well, I'm trying to think of a really esoteric answer.
I think it made sense because, like, you know, what, like,
Yeah.
the Zionist position, the Democrats, are they really going to allow that type of optic? Like,
Yeah.
are they going to, you know, I'm curious what you think.
Yeah. I mean, I won't say there's no difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. I would never say that. But what I will say is that their foreign policy is remarkably in lockstep. And so I think part of what I was illustrating with that song is like, okay, they might disagree on some things, but they don't disagree on Ukraine and they don't disagree on Israel. They don't disagree on like sanctions, you know, sanctioning Cuba or whatever. Like you could pick any country and say like, do the Democrats and the Republicans agree on U.S. foreign policy about this country? And I would say 90% of the time you'll get total agreement, which to me means there's a larger problem, which is that, you know, the American empire kind of using economic power to cause like destruction and despair all over the world is a shared political project of both of our major parties. So that's where a lot of my criticisms stem from. And that's why you won't see me like, everybody make sure and get out there and vote for Kamala. Like that's doesn't feel like a moral stance that I can defend at this point in my life. So so what I'm usually doing if I'm talking about the Democrats is trying to illustrate what they have in common with Republicans so that we can try to, you know, build an actual left in America.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, like, there's so much of your music and so many of your lyrics that you can't help but smile while you're listening to them, while you're reading them, while you're experiencing the music. And like, that's you mentioned when you came back, you wanted to laugh with your bandmates, and again, there's so much humor in your writing. And I wonder, like, you know, what do you think the role is humor plays, I think, in the movement, in revolutionary politics, in like your life, your art? Like, I'm just curious, like humor specifically, like,
Yeah.
how do you make that a part of this journey for you?
It's a little sugar with the medicine. I think you can get away with a lot more in a song if you make somebody laugh first. So it's a little bit like having a really great melody or like a really great rhythm that you want to dance to. Like you can sort of tuck in a little more information without people getting bored. So I always think of humor like a kind of 1-2 punch. Like if you hit them with a joke and then you hit them with the truth, it's like the hit lands a little harder. And that's something I didn't invent. I'd be quite heavily influenced by John Prine, who was great at that. And he wasn't like a leftist per se, but he was like the son of a union organizer and has a lot of like very working class anthem type country songs, country folk songs. And he's always telling a joke, and especially before he'll say like the most heart-wrenching line, he'll always get a joke in first. So I'd say I learned that mostly from him.
It's very well done. Well, I mean, like, yeah, you execute it very well.
Thank you.
It's really fun. And it's like it's nice. I mean, yeah, there, you know, it is a lot of these issues that we care about it, like as leftists, are like no laughing matter. They really aren't. But you know, like I think we've kind of developed a reputation a little bit. People on the left, it's like, well, it's not really fun to hang out, and like you guys are always coming after me with this or that, and it's like, so like, why don't people think we're funny, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I always say like my political role is to bring the party to the party. So like I think when we will start really gaining ground politically is when we're like, when leftists are considered funny and sexy and like competent at stuff. It's like when we have a robust enough movement that we feel that it's like, oh, all the qualities that I'm seeking in my life are over there in that movement. Like I better join the party. That's when I think we'll really gain some momentum.
Wow, yeah. So it all goes back to propaganda then.
It does. I mean, also you could call it culture. Like it's you want a meeting of whatever party you're in. I'm in PSL. You're in DSA. We're all friends here. I think whenever your party meets, that meeting should be like fun and enrolling to people who aren't just gonna go like read Lenin. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it shouldn't be that our events are only for people who are gonna like go read something in the original. They should be for people who want to like dance or like they're single, they want to meet somebody, whatever. Like whatever brings you in the door is great.
That is a wonderful thought. Yeah, there is so much like, all right, Capital, like here we go.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh,
Still haven't read it.
it's tough.
I can admit it.
Okay, listen. I read the first volume of it. I felt like I understood like maybe 30%.
That's pretty good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I felt proud of myself because I was like, this is crazy.
I'm a podcast person, so I'd say like half of my reading is actually listening to podcasts that are summarizing the reading. So I've like done a couple of podcast series about Capital. I'm fine with that.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. I think that's effective.
And
You
again,
start to
like
understand.
I really believe in robustness of movement. So I think we should have like the radicalizing information should be in every form that people might be able to learn in. And that includes songs and podcasts and TV shows and like I don't know what else, like dance parties, sure. However people learn or however people enjoy gathering, we should be imparting some good left education in those places.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, like, well, the word distilled comes to mind. And like your music it's distilled. It's like, it is a distilled message. It functions, it works that way. Instead of getting, kind of hit with a theory book or whatever, it's like, and there's something like, it's almost like you have to hit at that core sort of like the human instinct and the human value of like left-wing politics. It really is just about sort of getting people's needs met, essentially, and being together. And
it's
that's
actually very beautiful. Our theories are beautiful, and they're not often like expressed that way. But I feel like as we get more artists into the movement, we're gonna make our theories more beautiful, and that helps enroll more people.
Yeah. And that is a challenge, but you're leading the charge there. I mean, like you have a lot going on too. Like you have this might be a good time to talk about your next album, right?
Sure.
So it's dropping, I think,
In like a month or so.
Yeah, but but you've already released some of it, correct?
Yeah.
Can you explain that a little bit?
Sure.
It's
yeah.
Interesting.
I'm trying a new thing for me, which again, like just to be really real, I'm doing this because I don't desperately need the money from this crowdfund the way like 5 years ago I wouldn't have been able to do this. So I'm doing a crowdfund for my next album, and the way I did it is you can donate any amount, and everyone who donates gets the same stuff. So it was like when we raised $20,000, I'm gonna just put the album on my website for download. So that already happened. So you can download the album on my website whether you donate or not. And the donations start at $2 and they go up to like $2,000 or something. And then when we hit the next goal, every single person gets a copy of the CD. But basically you can't pay more to get more stuff. So it's like sort of a socialist crowdfunding model. And it's working fine. But again, it's like I have enough fans now that I can sort of pull that off. So I wouldn't have taken the risk of doing that before I had a little bit of padding in the budget. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
But the other thing I wanted to bring up, do you know about Artists Against Apartheid?
Yeah, well, a little bit. I know that's sort of like a coalition, right, of artists who are sort of, taking their music off of Spotify and that kind of thing. Or...
Sort of. I think that's one of the projects that some of us are involved in now. So Artists Against Apartheid, I was one of the founding members, and we started like October 10th of 2023.
Oh, wow.
In response to what we assumed was about to be an escalation in the occupation and destruction of Gaza.
Yeah.
And so we started out with a letter that was like, we were circulating it online, asking artists to sign a letter that was basically saying, I stand for free Palestine. We don't believe that it's anti-Semitic to say that, there should be an end to the occupation, etc. And we ended up now we have something like 20,000 artists sign on, and we have like social media pages and stuff like that. But it is a coalition of a lot of different artists all over the world, and people are doing events under the name Artists Against Apartheid. It was inspired by the South African organization of the same name in the 80s.
Okay.
And I bring this up because organizing artists is one of my sort of political project passions. Because I think that if we were to have some way for artists to share some like study, like if there was any political education that artists could do together, that we would have like much richer left art. Basically, it would help us create a left culture a lot faster and in a more fun way. So I'm always looking for opportunities to help artists study together and like be in community in ways that aren't just like gigs or conferences or whatever.
And do you think like, the momentum of that might be a good segue into sort of the ceasefire, and sort of like Israel of course has broken the ceasefire over 700 times, I think. as of today. And so, like, moving forward, the momentum of the movement, you know, and of course that's not in the news quite as much anymore. Like I think people have, it's not so openly discussed, I guess. But it's still something that, you know, obviously like it still needs to be a focus. But in a lot of ways, like I feel like, you know, you can kind of ask people about this, talk to people about this, and get a read very quickly. And I think that says a lot about sort of like the Free Palestine movement. And I wonder, like, the lasting legacy of Free Palestine, you know, continuing onward as we continue the fight. Like, do you think that it has succeeded in that way, that it's become sort of like BLM and sort of like these other movements that I think we think about, you know? Do you feel like that's sort of like, it's even though the fight's continuing, do you think that's kind of the case, that, you know, that's where we're at?
I mean, I think we succeeded in dramatically moving American culture towards sympathy with the Palestinian cause rather than with the Israelis. Like, I saw a poll recently that said 70% of Americans sympathize more with Palestinians in Gaza than with Israelis. And that's, I mean, if you can imagine going back 5 years, and that would have been absolutely mind-blowing. So I think while we do consider like what the best next steps are to move the Palestinian struggle ahead from here within the empire, we also have to notice what has worked. And our combined efforts within the U.S. were really successful at changing what is considered a mainstream opinion. So I think we need to like assess that and try to keep doing that, try to do that again, try to do that for Venezuela. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I also think like the way the encampments happened was really important to consider. Like, people who are in their early 20s right now who have been through college in the U.S., like most of them have at least a cursory knowledge of Israel and Palestine and a cursory knowledge of U.S. imperialism and probably like colonialism and what that means, what an occupation is. Like, we should consider that a really big success culturally. So I do think like paying some attention to what kind of propaganda we're making and what successes we're having on the cultural front would really serve all of our movements and would serve all the different struggles that we're having to organize around, which it's like constantly there's 100 different struggles within the U.S. because we're just out there fucking shit up every hour of every day. You know?
Oh God, yeah. Yeah, it feels like it. Jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in particular, you know, with ICE and with, you know, there's so much going on. There's so much work to be done.
Yeah.
You know, and so like, yeah, keeping that focus and that organization, I guess, is like completely key. You know, and that's definitely a challenge. But I mean, but you've already done that. Like, organizing artists in a big way is huge. You know, especially in the United States, to find culture makers and try to organize them and drive them towards this continually and in a really committed way.
Yeah. One thing that got me interested in that project was doing some research about the cultural aspect of the Cold War and of the Red Scare, which I wasn't super familiar with. I knew about like the Hollywood tent. So I knew there were a few people in Hollywood who had to go talk to Congress because they were considered communists or someone said they were communists. I just wasn't super familiar with what had happened. And then since then, I've done a lot of reading about the other cultural aspects of the Red Scare. So there's a great book called The Cultural Cold War, which is mostly about the CIA's cultural efforts, which were quite extensive and began like right at the end of World War II. The CIA was formed, and immediately upon forming the CIA, there was a department that was only focused on cultural output. So they were like, okay, we need to make sure there's anti-Soviet and anti-communist artists, journalists, news organizations, radio. We have to make sure that they exist and that they're being promoted everywhere in the world, that there's a threat of communism. They were really involved in the abstract expressionism movement. So like the CIA director was also on the board of the Museum of Modern Art in 1947 through 55 or something like that.
Yeah.
So he was like, we need a counter to Soviet realism because everybody thinks Soviet realism is so great. So he was like, let's find these guys who are painting God knows what, like who are just splattering paint around.
Like Pollock?
Yeah, like Pollock and Rothko, all those guys. And so they put them on exhibit in the MoMA, and then they sent their works all around the world to say, like, actually, America is so cool and free, and it's the opposite of Soviet realism. You can tell by our art. So anyway, great book. CIA was very focused on culture. The FBI was also really focused on culture. So in my opinion, like, the reason there's very little political music happening over most of my lifetime. Like, it's happening more now than it was. But that's partly still like a hangover from the Red Scare. Like, they very intentionally destroyed all of the left musicians, all of their careers through like 1975, like the end of COINTELPRO.
Yeah, and you know, like Trump too has issued statements. You know, they're vaguely going after Antifa ? You know, revolutionary optimism, and like staying optimistic. And I see this all over your pages, and it's clearly the soul of your music. Like, After the Revolution is clearly like an anthem of it. And so, like, what does that mean to you? Like, revolutionary optimism?
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, I would just say it's always cooler to like be a nihilist and not have any hope and not want anything. That's always cool, as in like James Dean style cool, like smoking your cigarette. I don't even care. I'm gonna die. Whatever.
It's pretty cool.
Like a lot of artists have been nihilists, and I can see the sort of seduction of that. Because if you hope for something, and if you want things to be different, and you want things to be better, you are making yourself vulnerable to disappointment. And so I understand why, like, there's a real urge to just say, fuck it, burn it all down. Like, nothing better is coming along. But I also think that if we all give in to that, then it's 100% going to be true. That will be how the world ends.
Oh, boy.
So I'm always trying to, like, find within my heart, because both things exist inside of me. Like, I have hope, but I also have nihilism. They're both in here. So I try in my work to, like, really just emphasize the part of me that believes there could be a better world, and that is willing to work for it and fight for it, even if it doesn't happen. And so I'm trying to coolify that, I guess. Believing in something. Because there's always the call of the void. There's always the call of just like smoke your cigarettes and lay around and give up. And I think that we can do better than that.
God, I hope so.
I hope so too.
I mean, what's on the other side of that? If, like, you know what I mean?
If everyone just says, I guess, Netflix and chill till the world burns.
Yeah, just in our box.
Yeah.
Just turning it on, you know, looking at our phones.
Yeah. It's sort of like, I also, like, just to make a little analogy, I also see, like, you know, our phones are so entertaining. There's, like, a lot of seduction to just being, to, like, Netflix and chill or TikTok or whatever, just be in your house and look at your own algorithm and, like, see funny cats or whatever, and that's your whole life.
Sounds kind of nice.
It does sound nice. I like to do that sometimes. And it takes a lot of effort to, like, push yourself out of your house, to, like, go to a meeting, go to a political event, go to a rally, go see a movie in the theater, you know what I mean? Like, it takes some effort to force ourselves out of our, like, comfy little houses, but I do think, like, that is where the revolution is going to happen. It's not going to happen on TikTok. And so the more we can force ourselves to actually talk to each other and to be organized together and to build coalitions in real life, like, the better shot we have at getting through this, like, very chaotic part of history.
Yeah. I mean, like, something I think about the statement, I don't know who told me this one time, but, you know, they said community is not convenient.
Yeah.
Community is not convenient. I think that's so true.
Yeah.
And, like, and nice. And, you know, you have to deal with people.
You do. Yeah.
And they're contradictions, you know?
Totally. I'm like a huge introvert too. Like, I would be happy actually being in my house all the time. I don't think I really need, for my own mental health, to go out there and do other stuff. That's medium true. But I joined an organization and I go to meetings and I, like, do, you know, my work assignments and stuff. And so I'm just saying homework. This, because I must once again ask everyone who's watching this to join an organization. Like, if you are interested in being involved in politics, you can't do it all looking at TikTok. You actually have to go be in an organization, even though it is annoying. You're not gonna like everyone there, but it's like, that's how we do it. Like, you got to do the work, and that's the work.
Wow, very, very well put. Well, if that isn't sort of like a great sort of
button,
recruitment button, yeah, I don't know what else is. Is there anything else on your heart or mind that you think you'd like to share about your experience, about this upcoming year?
Gosh. No, I think we did it.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Carsie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
High five.
High five. Together.
Together.
Oh, the river across the sea, a slave, a rat, a refugee, strap the child to your side. Keep the little flame alive. Hold Wavera Connolly. We hid them in the scullery, a secret whispered by the wives to keep the little flame alive. 100 years, 100 more, we throw our weight against the door, and even if we don't survive, we keep that little flame alive. Keep that little flame alive. Warsaw, Tulsa, Wounded Knee, they buried us. We were seeds, and singing from the grave, we rise to keep the little flame alive. 100 years, 100 more, we throw our weight against the door, and even if we don't survive, we keep that little flame alive. Remember when we shot Joe Hill, he spoke his last and final will. Good luck to all of you, don't cry.